QuickBooks Pro Desktop 2021, adjusting entry, prepaid insurance. Let's get into it with Intuit's QuickBooks Pro Desktop 2021. Here we are in our Get Great Guitars practice file homepage. We currently have the open windows open. You could open the open windows by going to the view dropdown, selecting the open windows list. We're going to be opening up our reports now, going to the reports dropdown, company and financial, taking a look at that balance sheet standard, changing the date up top to 02/28/21. Then we'll open up the P&L, profit and loss, reports dropdown, company and financial, P&L, profit and loss, 01/01/21 to 02/28/21. So here's going to be our profit and loss. Last time we talked about the worksheet. We entered our transaction into our Excel worksheet here. This is our insurance transaction, so we won't go over it in a whole lot of detail here. Take a look at the prior presentation in terms of the idea of this. Now we're going to go into recording it into the QuickBooks system. So we had a debit to the insurance expense, or an increase to the expense, and then the other side is going to go to prepaid insurance, decreasing the prepaid insurance account. So at the end of the day, we should be left with this amount in prepaid insurance, the insurance expense here, and then we're going to have the net income up to this point in time that will be adding up to this. All right, so let's enter it. Now, we could enter it with a journal entry. That would be the standard way to do it within QuickBooks, but there's only 2 accounts affected, so we can also use the registers, which basically QuickBooks will see as the same kind of thing. So there's 2 accounts affected, so we could use a register. The register account that we would have to use is prepaid insurance, not insurance expense, because we have to use the balance sheet account if we use the register. So we'll take a look at that. We're going to go to QuickBooks. Now, if you were to enter a journal entry, you go to the company dropdown, make journal entry. We're going to go to the register by going to the lists dropdown and using the chart of accounts. We're looking for the balance sheet account. That's going to be the prepaid insurance. It's going to be up top in the other current assets type of accounts. Other current asset type of accounts here. Make this a little bit longer or shorter and this one longer. And so we're going to be double clicking on that one. And we will use then the register. So we're in the prepaid insurance account. This one is going down. Because it's going down, we need to take it from this 11,000 down to the 9,166. So it's going to be a decrease of this 1,833. So we're going to say, all right, it's going to be a decrease. All transactions are going to be as of 02/28/21 if we're talking about adjusting entries. This is going to be a decrease of that amount that I just looked at, which was 1,833.33. So 1,833.33. It's a decrease. And the other side then is going to go to insurance expense. We haven't used that account yet, but we do have an insurance expense here that was provided to us by QuickBooks when we set up the chart of accounts, or set up the company and they gave us a chart of accounts. The memo is going to be an adjusting entry. And we could say for prepaid insurance, we might want one more detail than that, listing out, the coverage of the period and the amount that we're going to consume at this point. But at the very least, we want to label it as an adjusting entry. I like to go to the split item down below, so I can also put adjusting entry on the other side of the account. So each side of the account will then show that it's an adjusting entry if we're looking into insurance expense or into the prepaid insurance side of things. I'm going to go ahead and record that. If we want to take a look at the journal entry and what the journal entry would look like, we double click on the journal entry. Note that QuickBooks is still seeing this as a journal entry, even though we entered it into the register. There's no form related to it. So it's basically a journal entry. No matter how we enter it. And there's the debits and credits. QuickBooks put the credit on top because we were in the prepaid insurance register when we made it. So they put that one, that's the register we were in. So they put it on top. That's fine. And so we're going to be closing this back out. Let's see if we went the right way with it. Let's check out our balance sheet. If we go down to the balance sheet, then we're going to say, all right, prepaid insurance is now at that 9166. So 9166. If I go back up top, that looks right. 9166.67. There it is. Double clicking on that. Double clicking there. Doesn't want to double. There it goes. There's our adjusting entry. So there's our adjusting entry. Notice it is a journal entry. If I was to double click on it, it's going to take us to the register, and then I double click on the journal entry, it'll take us to the journal entry. It would do that either way, by the way. If I entered a journal entry and I drilled down on it, it would still take me basically to the register first, because QuickBooks is trying to use the register as much as possible to remove the need for debits and credits for those that, might not want to use or don't have aren't using the debits and credits as efficiently. The debits and credits are easier to use though, and they're still the backbone of the whole thing. So if you know how to use debits and credits, you probably will run into less kind of little problems, as we saw with the depreciation and the accumulated depreciation. The plus and minus thing can actually be a little bit confusing, especially when you're talking about contra asset accounts. But if there's 2 accounts affected, then the registers are fine. You can use those, and those will work. Those will work fine. So then the other side's going to be on the P&L, the profit and loss. So we have the insurance expense. There it is, the insurance expense. This is the insurance expense, and that's for the amount that we recorded here, and that's going to be shown here. So it looks like we're lining up with our Excel sheet. If I double click on that, then of course we'll get back to that journal entry. So at the end of the day, we're on the income statement. We're at the 854851, and the net income 854851 ties out to what we have in our Excel worksheet. So where everything looks good. There's no reversing entry that it's going to be involved here. So this is a permanent difference as opposed to just a timing difference, and therefore it's not going to have a reversal process to it. So here's where we stand in terms of the balance sheet at this point in time. If you want to check your numbers, here's where we stand in terms of the P&L, the profit and loss. Let's open up the trial balance and check that one out. I think that's the easiest place to check the numbers. So we'll go down to the trial balance, changing the dates up top from 01/01/21 to 02/28/21. Here's where we stand in terms of the trial balance.